Unlock the door, bitch. I'm on my way, and I got chicken strips.
I don't know why they call them chasers. It's not like Chubbs can run real fast.
Double vodka with hot brownie chasers.
She just wanted to watch me eat it. Naked.
I can't say that. That's dirty.
Chasers will do anything to get into your pants. I love them.
Stop it! Stop!
Oh, God.
Chubs Gone Wild.
Well, good morning-ish afternoon. It is Monday, March 23rd, 2025. Yes, that is correct. It's Chubbs Gone Wild episode 585, and it is 80 degrees and sunny out in Chubland, and I think the heat is just getting to me today.
Oh, shut up. It's
Ahoo.
my knees don't hurt.
Hmm.
I'm not shivering, I'm not covered up.
Hmm.
I've been walking around almost naked all morning long because it's been lovely.
Oh, some of our listeners just got really excited and turned up the volume. Well, it's 27 days until Easter, 221 days until Halloween, and only 276 days until Christmas. Join me for a moment as we begin our show to take a deep breath and focus on today's affirmation. I am unlimited in my own ability to create the good in my life. I can do anything I put my mind to.
Wait, did you say
Beautiful.
unlimited? Our
Oh.
future is unlimited.
So, yeah, that's on Peacock now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched it again already?
Oh, yeah.
Uh, I keep meaning to, but been having some stuff going on. So,
First day.
oh,
Well, I was sitting in the house and I thought, well, I'll just watch the beginning of it because the maid was going to come.
yeah.
And so, and then I got a call saying she was going to be 2 hours late. So I ended up finishing it.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
I still think it
It
was
was meant to be.
overly pulled apart, stretched out to make it go longer, but it was still really good. I
Yeah.
mean, I could dance through life a little less. And what was the other one that was like, well, even Defying Gravity? Jeez, that was a half hour long.
Yeah, they really did pull that one out a little bit for me. But yeah, of course, Johnny Bailey. I'm very happy to dance through life with him, but I just didn't like his costume. I didn't think it just made him, I don't know. It just didn't look right to me.
You mean that Oscar winning outfit that he was wearing?
It could very well, other people could look at it and go, wow, that was beautiful. For me, it made him just look very top heavy or something. I don't know. I don't know. It didn't work for me. Now, the girls' outfits, though, absolutely beautiful. All right, well, let's talk about Patreon real quick because it offers folks a way to support creators and receive rewards not open to the general public, like special podcasts, videos, books, and more. And we want to thank our current patrons, Clint, Nephi, Nick, and did just sausage from the Universe, Eric, Sean, Charles, Phoenix Dave, Brother Senatus, Kingsley, Kathy Bacon, and Moose Pete. Please visit patreon.com/Matt Burlingame to find out how you can become a patron of the show and the work that we do. And everybody who is a current patron will be happy to know that I am expecting the poetry books, the printed versions, at any moment, and they shall be signed and sent out shortly. So. Let's see. Well, today was a big day in history. In the darkest moments of America's industrial history, the Triangle Shirtwaist Company factory in New York City burned, killing 146 workers. On March 25th, well, technically that's tomorrow. So let's just pretend we're a day ahead in time. Let's see. 1911, the tragedy led to the development of a series of laws and regulations that better protected the safety of factory workers. Triangle Factory, owned by Max Blanc and Isaac Harris, was located in the top three floors of a 10-story building in downtown Manhattan. It was basically a workshop in every sense of the word, sweatshop. Moment, please. There we go. Let's see. In every sense of the word, it was a cramped space lined with workstations and packed with poor immigrant workers, mostly teenage women who did not speak English. And of course, it was a whole series of errors. There were only 4 elevators, and only one of them worked and could only take 12 people at a time. And there were 2 sets of stairs, but one had a door that only opened inward, and the other one was locked because they didn't want their employees stealing things. So, yeah, absolutely horrific, but it led to a lot of very important changes for
You know,
factory.
you were related to some people that were owners of that factory.
You know, probably
I mean, as
wouldn't
far
be
as that
surprised.
that list that you have,
Yes,
it's
yeah.
amazing.
They were
You're
they I don't
yeah.
remember them on it, but you know what? They were probably like distant cousin, sound like assholes to me. But anyway. All right, well, let's see if we celebrate any holidays today. Doo-doo-doo. Well, there's not many, so we'll see. Today is the International Day for Achievers. Well, we have achieved, so there we go. It's also National Cheesesteak Day. I don't know if I've
Gross.
ever really had a cheesesteak, maybe somewhere. National Chocolate Covered Raisins Day. No, thank you.
Yum.
Ugh, ugh, no.
Well, the only thing is, the problem with chocolate covered raisins
Mm.
is that you're never really sure if it's raisins
Yeah, I don't know. No,
because
thank
bug
you.
bodies look
Uh,
just like raisins when you bite into them
it might taste
if they're
better.
covered in chocolate.
Mm,
Yeah.
raisins, no. Raisins are fine on their own. I'm not knocking raisins, but not in chocolate. It's also National Cocktail Day. Have you had a cocktail yet?
No, and I won't be.
Oh, okay. Hmm. Well, it's also National World Tuberculosis Day.
I know I won't be celebrating that either.
Okay. Well, hopefully we won't either. But with our current person in charge of the national health system, make it come back. I'm
Oh,
sure.
it's still out there.
Yeah.
Believe me, it's still out there. They have I know most of the hospitals here in town have TB areas.
Mm, that's frightening. All right. Today, well, we have some birthdays to celebrate. Happy birthday to Steve, one of our former actors who we used to work with. This is very cool. Also happy birthday to Machiavelli. Hmm, there's a big name. And Daniel, another actress that we used to work with, Tracy, she played in our Countess Dracula, the second version that we did. She played, oh God, Mina. Poor thing. She couldn't really act, but man, she made up for it with her personality and her energy. She just did her best to sell that role. Anyway, also we have another actor, Mr. David, uh, who we worked with on that uh, baseball show. What was it? Out.
Take me out.
Thank you. That's the one. Power listener Brian, and we have Andrew, Jeff, John, Yuka, Joseph, Ron, Robert, Shane, Daniel Brewer, who is one of the co-founders of the Pride 48 Network, now defunct. We also have Waylon, Susan, Malcolm, and that Madge Weinstein, who is just she's in her 70s. She's a power lesbian, and she's And she is out there fighting the good fight. She is taking on this current regime, and yeah, more power to her with that. Okay, we love the Madge. Well, it's time for feedback. And
Okay, what about Kathy Bacon?
so at
You've
the
ignored her
apparently,
all month long. You've ignored her and you've hushed me and shushed me
I
down
know
to where I can't talk about it. And I
the
try to bring it up and you move on every time. And
mhm,
she was in tears,
I know. I I I admit I am jealous. I am jealous
jealous.
that she gets a whole month and I
Oh,
only get 1 day.
oh, Jesus. Listen to
Yep.
you. Okay, so
Unlimited. I want my birthday to be unlimited. Sorry. Go on.
well, I just feel bad that you take it out on Kathy because you feel like you're being cheated somehow
Well,
by I don't even want to talk about it. Okay, we've
okay.
moved on. We've moved on. Obviously, you don't care. What's next? What do we have up next?
Okay.
What's next?
Anyway, happy birthday month. Let's see. We have Chub Hugs, and of course, I will let you go first.
To more Miss Kathy Bacon, who's been ignored by you all month long.
I
Yeah,
know I have seen the
and
folly of my ways.
of course, all the people who are being affected by this latest bullshit government that we are listening to, following, having to deal with, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, my Chub Hug goes out to everybody who's affected, including the people who have been illegally sent to El Salvador and basically concentration camps by this current regime that I have I'm just no words. But big chub hugs. All right. Well, it's time for the news, and Tom wants to talk about trolling.
Um, yeah, it's just something I want people to understand. Last week I was I was something came up about the San Francisco parade losing its funding because certain companies don't want to be caught DEIing or dealing with gays and lesbians, talking about Pride Month. So, caving into the autocracy that's going on right now.
Hmm.
So I said, well, give us, let us know what the names of the companies are and we'll Tesla them. And then somebody gets on there and goes, and uh, so what you're doing is you're trying to go get a revolt against these companies just because they've changed their policy on something. And so but it was weird because the way they were talking, it was weird.
Uh-huh.
I mean, besides the fact that I was being trolled. So I just went blah blah blah, and then they got angry and said something else. And then somebody else is going, oh, but I just don't feel right about doing that. And that's going to hurt those companies. And I go, that's the point. And then they go, well, you're an awful person, and they go, and it's like, is this supposed to, but the thing was, the first person, I was watching TV and I was watching an interview with Elon Musk, and it sounded just like him. It was the same kind of, oh, so you're saying because you disagree with something that you can go in and burn down my car dealerships for no reason at all, to hate upon people who you're hurting other people. You think you're hurting me, but you're not. And it was just like, I'm like, ooh, I don't like people who are that,
Hmm.
whatever that's called, that is gross. And so I'm just saying, don't be afraid to, if somebody comes after you online for saying something, because first of all, they probably don't exist.
Hmm.
They're probably just a bot.
Hmm.
And if they're not, then then it's something that they need to send home to the whoever they report to, that no, there's some people out there that are really angry and they're not backing down.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
no, that whole thing about have you seen the people that are going on like the news shows and stuff going, "Oh, buy Tesla." Poor the richest person in the world is like people won't buy his product and it's so sad. Like, dude, d seriously?
well, you know what's
That's
sad
off.
about this? What's sad about it is that if it were the fact that see, because Tesla's a good car.
Yeah.
It's nothing against Tesla. It's Tesla itself, even the company. But the fact is, Elon Musk has stuck his face on the front of that, and
Hmm.
so that's who you got to lash out at, is the person that's going to affect the most. I mean, he lost hundreds of billions of dollars over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks now, because Tesla went from nearly $500 a share to well, before today, it was down below 250. So it lost half of its market share
Hmm.
in a month. And so, I, honestly, I don't know that he was the richest man in the world last week.
Well,
So,
yeah.
but the thing is, the problem is that he doesn't care, because
Well,
he knows that he may have paid, $500 million to get Trump elected, but he's already benefited far more from that
oh yeah.
with SpaceX. He takes away the Verizon contract and gives it to Starlink. Oh, that's not a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of the trolls. The trolls are out there, and they're out there to silence you,
Oh,
and don't let that happen.
that's right. Um, from what I understand, his the loans that he had to take out to buy Twitter are leveraged against his capital with Tesla. So if he loses his capital with Tesla, they might recall his loans for Twitter, which means that that would knock him out of being able to, having that and et cetera, et cetera. But here's the thing is people are like, oh my God, he just would lose all that money. He still has so much wealth, even if all this bullshit disappears and he doesn't have any government contracts or anything else, he still has so much money that even he and his 14 kids and everything else, they will have money for generations. So don't sit there and think that, he's going to suffer other than, generally. Anyway, let's get on with some other news. The annual U.S. State Department report detailing human rights around the world will remove all sections covering the rights of women, LGBTQ plus people, and the disabled, as well as sections dedicated to discrimination against indigenous people and corruption in government. The censored report has likely been drafted in response to the president's executive orders banning all DEI efforts in the federal government. The Trump administration has considered is considering drastic funding cuts to federal HIV prevention programs, including possibly eliminating the HIV prevention division in the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Sources close to the matter have told the press, experts say if this happens, it will be disastrous for public health. Not to mention, that is my main client. That is what they do. Also, I'm sure you've heard by now, if you follow any of the gay news, about the Sacramento made a little splash as one of our locals who we know decided to wear a mega hat into Badlands, and Badlands said, you're making people uncomfortable. So they didn't kick him out. Nobody really confronted him or anything, but they did say, you know what, we're gonna say no mega attire in the bar anymore. And then, of course, that made the news, and this person who I'm not going to comment on anything other than is certainly enjoying being the center of attention about how marginalized and how persecuted he is by the gay community for his differences. And every time there's this thing that comes up, he does this shit. His little group, the Log Cabin Republicans, they do this shit.
See, I don't know who
Like,
you're talking about.
oh, well,
You can tell me later.
yeah, it's public out there, so it's not like
Right.
you go
I
with
don't
that.
care. Whatever.
Yeah, moving on. So yeah, anyway, so that happened locally. All right, well, let's talk about some celebrity deaths.
Well, we only had a few notables. Wings Hauser, he's a veteran character actor. Now, here they say they know him best for Vice or Young and the Restless. But you look at him and you go, oh my God, he's been in everything.
Yeah.
And he was 78, so he's been in everything since the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And I'm sure that everyone recognizes him, but never knew what his name was.
Yeah.
One of the great character actors. He died at 78.
Mhm.
And then finally, George Foreman, boxer turned Foreman Grill infomercial star. He died this week at 76. Now, is it true that all his children are named George Foreman?
You know what? I've heard that rumor, but I don't know for sure.
I mean, even the girl.
Huh. I
So,
don't know.
I mean, that is one big ego. It doesn't matter. You don't have to look it up. Why don't we go to my week?
The late boxing champion gave all of his 5 sons the same name, George Edward Furman, and was also father to daughters Natalie, Leola, and Mishi and Georgette, and then the late Frida. So no, the girls didn't, but the boys all did.
Well, Georgette,
Oh well, yeah, that's true.
they could have Georgette, Georgina, and Gigi.
Georgia.
Don't. That you're already on the wrong key. Anyway, my week. Oh, well, let me look. What
Yes.
did I have for my week? Let's see. Starting out, okay, Deal or No Deal. Again, they ended on a cliffhanger. Again. I mean, it's a game show. No, that you can do reality, but you can't do reality and game show. You got to have.
Right.
I mean, even on Survivor, we get someone thrown out each week. There's a payoff at the end of the episode. So NBC, let's get this together. Oh, good, you opened up the croutons. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we got once they're open, they become snacking croutons.
Nice.
Yeah. And when you're walking around the kitchen going, no, I need something to eat, a handful of croutons really cuts to it. American Idol right now is in the middle of the audition phase, and it's been nice this time. First of all, I don't know why it is that nobody can get the audition phase as good as American Idol does. You're totally interested. I care that grandma died last month, but on The Voice, I don't give a shit if grandma died within the last 20 years. Just sing and get off. Just sing, go. Okay. So, but American Idol, I'm hook, line, and sinker with them. And then they're doing other nice things. One girl that they liked a lot, they got her to come sing at the sports stadium that's near her. I don't know if it was football or baseball, but it was like, coming out and singing at your local, like major, like football stadium, like something where the big money ones, like the Rams and the Chargers, those kind of places, or maybe it was baseball, I don't know. And then they had one guy that they invited to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. So, and he had never even been there, as an audience. And here he is, the first time he's there, he gets to play on stage. So,
wow.
Just kind of cool things, giving the dream, giving more validity to the dream, giving it, a dream doesn't mean you win American Idol. That's the one thing that they've always made the mistake of saying. Getting in on American Idol is your step to whatever. Getting in the top 24, you're doing really well. You get in the top 12. I mean, just remember, Jennifer Hudson was out number 8, and she's an EGOT winner. she's worth millions. Maybe she's probably with a syndicated show. Maybe she's getting close to billions. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she's one of the producers on Smash on Broadway. Um,
Oh, wow.
because she also because she won her Tony a couple of years ago for Strange Loop, for being one of the producers of Strange Loop. So
Hmm.
I think what she's doing is great, and I was glad that I was there before it all changed for
Yeah.
her. So
Yeah.
that was really a neat experience. Let's see, Drag Race this week. Lana Jarre finally got sent home. She's been
Hmm.
I mean, she's been mediocre at best all season long, and this is her fourth time in the bottom two, and it was like just send her the fuck home. And I'm pretty sure the reason she stayed as long as she has is because her drag mother is one of Rue's favorite people. So I think
Hmm.
that kept her a little bit longer, but now it's just time for her to go. Just
Right.
time to go.
Hmm.
And last week, remember when I was saying that Rue was kind of pissed off about everyone picking the one they thought was the best to
Yeah.
send home?
Hmm.
She even mentioned that this week, that it was kind of like, I ask you a question, and then you try to take out the person who you think is the best, because that's going to make it easier for you to win. Because I mean, to her, Rue is like, if you want to win, be the best
Right.
and beat the best. Don't let's not make it down to where, oh, this is subpar RuPaul's Drag Race, and whoever's not the worst of the worst. This isn't like Worst Chefs. It's not. It's
Yeah.
like we should be celebrating the queens trying to be better than when they first came in. So
Mhm.
Bachelor this week was overnights, which I hate.
Yep.
One of the girls, the Mormon, refused to sleep with him. Not refused. She just goes, "We're not going to get intimate tonight," and he's like, "That's fine." And that's I would prefer that they go in saying, "We're not going to get intimate. You can't get intimate." Uh,
Well,
we
remember when dipshit, uh, the shower boy, the tall guy, did that? He's like, I just want you all to know that I'm not going to be sleeping with any of you. And then he slept with all of them.
Well, remember the one with the guy, the chubby guy that liked chubby women, and then when they did the overnights, it was a secondary show like on Fox. He slept with all the women. He slept with like four or five of the girls, and I'm like, ew.
Wow.
Now this is just like, oh, is there? It's whores everywhere. Okay, let's see. Uh, the Pit, which is the show in Pittsburgh where they're the ER,
Right.
and a
Yeah.
very good show, excellent show. But let's see. They're just at the end of their shift, and then all of a sudden there's a mass shooting, and they're the closest hospital, so no one leaves. So
Uh,
I was wondering. I said that I go. It's 50. It says it's supposed to be a 12-hour shift, but yet 15 episodes that are an hour a piece.
hmm.
So, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's got to be a major something that happens. They're either locked down or they're some reason why they can't leave. So
Hmm.
that's what it ended up being. This week on White Lotus, did you get to watch it yet?
No, but
Okay.
you can spoil it if you want to.
Okay. Well, nothing really happened again. We did get closer um the person Walton, what is it last name, Giggins. Well, it looks like he wants to kill the owner of the White Lotus,
Hmm.
that there's something going on, and he's at his house now. So that's how they ended this episode. And then the boys, it was funny because they were the oldest brother was talking to the other girls down at the pool, the two girls that they were with, and she goes, "Oh, I ended up telling my boyfriend that I slept with you," and he's going, "Why did you do that?" She goes, "Well, I just couldn't lie to him," and he goes, "But he seemed pretty cool with it. He actually wanted to know if you wanted to. We're having a party tonight. If you wanted to come for it." And she goes, "I don't know. Maybe do a three-way." And he goes, "I would never do a three-way, not with another guy." And they both look at him and they go, "What about last night?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" "Well, you did a three-way with your brother." And he goes, oh, that kiss was a joke. That didn't mean anything. And she goes, well, what about when he was jacking you off?
What?
I know. And all of a sudden he's like, Gah! It was like, remember the scene in Jaws where the sheriff's out there on the beach, and then all of a sudden you hear shark, shark, and then they go immediately, like an immediate close up on his face. The camera rolls into his face. That's exactly what it was like.
Ah!
It was like, oh no, I thought I was checking myself off. But
Oh wow.
so he's freaked out. He hasn't even
Uh,
talked to the brother yet, but he's freaked out.
You
And
know, I will say I am annoyed by hearing all the people that are like just shitting all over the show because of that aspect of it. I'm just like, it's not real, people. Chill the fuck out. It's just a show.
yeah, and the older brother is actually 31 and the younger brother is 23. So they're also adults.
Yeah.
Um, but it's and I love the fact that he's throwing taboo. Mike Lee is throwing taboo out there and
Yeah.
making and twice because with the what he did with last week with the whole I like to dress up like hookers and have men rail
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that was kind of like, oh, oh, okay.
I know I love the because I remember and I probably missed it last week. I was playing my game, while I'm watching the show, and all of a sudden I turned the game off and I was like, he just got railed by four guys. What? What am I watching?
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's see. On Survivor, Thomas gets backdoor after the team
Oh.
switched. What happened was the three teams of five, and then
Uh,
or six, and one team got down to three. So when they did that, they immediately picked new buffs, got into new teams. And so the one team was one girl and four guys, but that was the team that
hmm.
kept losing right before, because they kept the same tribal names. So they're going, well, we're going to break this week. They ended up losing, and what happened was there were two from one team and three from another. So the three just said, well, we're going to vote for this person on the other team, except they didn't know that they had a um, extra vote and an idol. So once they knew who they were voting out, they gave the idol to that person, voted an extra vote for the other person, and they end up getting Thomas out really by a stroke of luck because they kept their mouth shut about their idols.
Smart.
Yeah, it was kind of exciting. Um, so anyway, finished Running Point, which is the Kate Hudson basketball show on Netflix. It was really well written, and even though I hate Kate Hudson, I enjoyed the show, and it's already been picked up for next season.
Hmm.
Let's see. Um, I saw. Did I mention parenting last week to you? That's
No,
the
think
that's
so.
about the gay couple that invite their parents over and they to an Airbnb and it ends up being haunted by Parker Posey's best friend
Yeah,
and demon.
actually, that does sound familiar. Yeah.
Okay, so
But
I
maybe
probably
I
did.
heard you talk about it on Swan or Judd.
Okay, well, basically that's this gay couple, young gay couple. They want their parents to meet, and so they rent a Airbnb from Parker Posey, whose best friend died in that house, many years ago when the demon took them over, and so the demon
Mm.
needs a new body to leave the house. It's almost kind of like the last season of Lost. Um, but yes, so and the thing is, it's got Edie Falco in it. It's got and I always forget her name. Smelly Cat,
Oh,
Phoebe.
yeah.
It's yeah, her. Then it's gosh, Brian Cox. He's one of the fathers, and the guy from Breaking Bad who was this brother-in-law. So it's the major cast of the supporting parents
Hmm.
and Parker Posey. So it's a really good cast, and it's a comedy with that doesn't really know how to do drama comedy very well. It's because
Uh,
the dramatic times seem really dramatic, where they should seem comedy dramatic, if you know what I mean. So,
Yeah.
but honestly, out of everything I watched new this week, that was the best, which tells you the shitty week I've had for movies. I saw Craven, which is from Sony, and
Yeah.
Sony Marvel, and they can't get that right at Sony. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the still pictures of the guy are super hot, but the
Hmm.
rest of the time he just has long, greasy looking hair. I mean, he's a nice guy, and I hate Russell Crowe. So, I mean, it was easy for me to really fall into the show itself, but for me, it was filler. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't Electric State, which is the new Chris Pratt movie with Billy Bobby Brown, where
Oh, is that
it's
what
a
it was?
it's a post robot revolution, and so robots were all shut down and put away, and we were living in a non Wi-Fi world because we can't deal with them getting power again. So it sounds like it might be a good show, but it wasn't. I mean, the idea of the storyline was good. I mean, and I'm sure it's probably from some really good novel that everybody loves, but Chris Pratt was terrible in it. And that's not just because I hate him. He
Right.
was terrible in it. It felt like they were trying to do Guardians of the Galaxy character. They had a soundtrack that was overly done with 70s and 80s fun songs,
Okay.
kind of like Guardian of the Galaxy. Oh,
Yeah.
well, we got Chris Pratt. Maybe we'll get a soundtrack out of it. That's how it
Mhm.
felt. It all felt really forced. But Millie Bobby Brown was really good. Her line deliveries were great. And yeah, she was the strongest part of the show. And they had really cool robots. It was like they had Mr. Peanut, and they had different things, that mascots basically, that have been made into robots. So that was kind of fun, especially for you and I, because we grew up in that era. So, but that's another thing. This thing takes place in the 90s. So, um, the kids it's trying to appeal to don't get any of the sight gags. They don't get who Mr. Peanut is. They don't get, a lot of
Yeah.
what they were trying to um, play into with this. It's a period piece that's not going to appeal to the audience it was meant for. Boom. Okay. Next one is Smile. And this is, I guess there's 3 out now. This is the first one. And basically, if you see somebody kill themselves, whatever drew them to kill themselves goes into you and starts making you so empty or so hateful or so um, angry, whatever's going to make you kill yourself. But to get rid of the thing that's following you, you have to kill yourself in front of somebody,
Uh,
because that's the only way to pass it on. Otherwise, even in death, you're going to be, it's going to haunt you, I guess. um My problem, it was that it looked like a it was a good storyline plot, I guess, but it
mhm.
felt like it wasn't made on a lot of money.
Mhm.
It
Okay.
was I don't know, it's just I think that it was a good concept, but a better concept for the same thing was It Follows, back a few years ago, which you know we never saw What Follows You, but we knew it was following them,
Right.
and that was made on a budget as well, but much more effective. And then finally, I saw Wicked, which I mentioned,
Yeah.
which I enjoyed actually more the second time than I did the first time. And I did want to mention, with Ghost Adventures, with Aaron having his wife try to kill him,
Yeah.
and this, suing for divorce and the whole thing. They have announced that they're going to be their next season, so coming up next April, or up in April. So watch for that. So they're taking full advantage of the, oh, Aaron Goodwin, his wife was doing this. And he's from Ghost Adventures, which, by the way, will be premiering in April.
Right.
Yeah, so we
Hey,
got to
yeah.
tag that bitch in there. And then finally, I had a massage this week, and it's by uh, a day spa, the Chinese day spa,
Hmm.
and um, the gentleman that gave me the massage, I think, was using the hatred he and his people have for the white man, for all the ills that have been put upon them over the years. Think back to the railroads and the shipping people. He took it all out on me. I mean, the next morning, I felt like I'd been hit by a car.
Well, it could just be from, 2020 when, the world tried to blame, Asian people, regardless of who they were or where they came from, for,
Right.
take.
I didn't do it. Why take it out on me?
Well, you know.
I know.
Anyway, it's horribly racist, I guess, regardless of what it was. So
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened.
Well,
Okay.
but I will tell you, I'm never going to get a massage again.
Maybe you should find a nice, gentle gay boy to give you a massage. And, you know, I've never had one. I mean, a massage.
A professional one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I don't know
well.
if I've even really had a non-professional one, except for one guy that just stood behind me and dug into me and made me cry out in pain.
See, that's what they do.
Well,
And they go, "Oh, well, you've got knots, and now I've got bruises. Okay,
yeah,
tell
yeah,
me what should I want more."
yeah. I want a real massage if I ever
No,
get one.
well, no, you don't, because the real massage is the one that hurts. What you want is you want a cookies and cream massage.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that would be
I just
fine.
want I
Yeah,
want to feel good and have like a nice little back rub and not,
that would be
your
fine.
elbow should never meet my bone.
Oh yeah, that kind of thing. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
I I, I
I think
went
they
with
think that when you're chunky, like we are, we're thick boys, that they have to dig in more to get to
I no, I
things, and
think
it just hurts more.
it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figured, I can get into a hot tub, which
Mhm.
is,
Yeah.
it's nice and good, or I can get a, something that, like a massager or, a dildo, whatever. I can get something that doesn't hurt.
Right. Yeah. If I have to go, ow, that's not fun.
Yeah, nothing like clenching your teeth an entire massage.
Yeah. All right. Well, for my week, the highlight of it, which was not a highlight, it was more of a low light, of course. But my mom and I spent Wednesday in the ER. There was something going on with her, and just I was like at the point where I'm like, no, this needs to get checked out now. We need to find out what's going on. So we went to the ER, Ubered there, got in. I was, I mean, the whole setup and everything was pretty nice, and they had a very nice ginger, manly, bearded, nurse that, yeah, checked us in, and he was very lovely. But so we sat there pretty much from about 11 something to about 8 p.m. and went through the whole thing. The tests are in. I can't verify that I know exactly what's going on, but I think that there's enough. And so did the doctor, because they basically just said, okay, well, you took your tests, go ahead and go on home. Here's some fluids. Uh, Go home and make an appointment with your real doctor, who's 40 miles away. So we're dealing with that tomorrow. Hopefully everything will go very smoothly and we will get some answers and hopefully some medication, because I think I know what's going on, but I'm not a doctor, so I will not comment. But that day kind of just seemed to take up the whole week, if that makes sense. So, all right. Other than that, let's see. I did get a chance to watch a few things. I've been kind of going on some tangents where I've been trying to start from like watch franchises. And so I kind of started last time with watching Superman 1 and 2. And this week, I watched Superman 3 and 4. Those are the Christopher Reeve ones. And wow, they were something. I liked the people that were in them a lot, and I think they did a good job for what they had, but just the scripts were not very good. Um, Maybe it's just because it's more modern times, because I seem to have liked them when they were current, when I was a kid. Anyway, then I watched Superman Returns, which is the Brandon Ruth one where he came back and it got super panned, and I seem to remember watching it and not liking it. But this time I liked it. It was not, I didn't think it was bad. I thought they did a really good job with it. I didn't really care for the Lois Lane, the actress that played Lois Lane, because I like Lois as a tough go-getter, and she was much more of the oh dear kind of Lois. But it was
Damsel in distress.
yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, exactly. And of course, then in that one, Superman had a son, which then they did the reboot, starting with Man of Steel with our beautiful hunky daddy. Why is his name not coming to me? Our
Christopher
super.
Reeves?
Yeah,
I know. I'm not going to tell.
you're not going to tell me?
Henry.
Henry Cavill, yes. So Henry Cavill, relaunching the series, and I thought the Man of Steel was actually really good. Yeah, I mean it was fine. It wasn't perfect, but who cares? It was a good action adventure. And then of course we moved on from there to Batman versus Superman: The Dawn of Justice. And I remember seeing it in the theater and going, but this time when I rewatched it, I liked it more. I mean, you know, it had its flaws. It is, of course, DC, and DC just can't seem to always pull their shit together. But it was good for what it was. But then, of course, comes Justice League, which is the last of the Superman movies so far. But they're coming out with a new one actually later this year. And this is going to be the post Zack Schneider universe
Is
Superman.
this one going to have Robert Patterson in it?
Um, Actually, that sounds familiar, but I haven't looked that much into it.
He's the new Batman. My God, come
You know what?
on.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was in it because they'll stick anybody in anything these days. Anyway, but
We should
so
have a
the,
girl playing Batman and not Batgirl.
I I would not hate it. I'd give it a chance. Why not? Um, but and I actually really liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he did really well,
You
especially
know, that's just
in
because you wanted to fuck him.
well, I mean that's aside the point. I mean I wanted Henry too, but I didn't say he was the best Superman. Anyway, moving on. So Justice League was the last of them, and I watched the 4 hour Zack Schneider
You're
cut that came
dumb.
out
You
in
are dumb for
2021.
watching that.
Well, no, actually, I'm not because that was so much better than the release cut that they did, because the release cut that they did was shit. But this one, yes, it was 4 hours, but it actually had so much more, made so much more sense, actually made you like the characters and care about it. And of course, I got to see a lot more Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman is, one of the main reasons you watch this.
Well, I will tell you that the Abyss,
Uh-huh.
the James Cameron Abyss, if you compare that with the director's cut,
Hmm.
it's night and day. First of all, they cut the aliens out of the movie until the very end of the movie.
Huh.
So, yeah, the last third of the director's cut is where the character finds the aliens that are under the water, and so it's a pivotal point in the show, And it's like, because the other one is just like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. Well, that's the with the release the
I get it. I get
yeah
it.
yeah perfect yeah exactly.
Done already?
Okay. Anyway, so I'm actually really glad that I did watch all the Superman movies, but I wouldn't actually mind watching the last ones, like maybe a year or two from now. I'd watch them again, but I don't think I really have any craving to go back and watch the old ones again. Anyway, I also watched Harriet the Spy because we are talking about that on the next Matinee Minutia podcast, and that's the 1996 one with Michelle Trachtenberg, who recently passed away. She who was in Buffy, and it was a really fun little show. But
I'm going to do it.
let me tell you that the things that they did as kids in that would get them like get parents thrown in jail these days, would get them sent to therapy and locked up in an asylum. Would I mean, it's like, wow, did have times changed since 96 because that shit would not fly today. But it was fun. It was very fun. It was a good show. And I remember reading the book when I was a kid and loving it. All right, so I caught up on Wheel of Time. This is the fourth or episode, I think, of season three. And finally, an episode that I gave a shit about because basically the two main characters, the fire dragon and the woman that's, the Aes Sedai that's with him, traveling with him, they find the tree, they go through and they see their lives in the past through all the cycles of the turns of the whatever. And it's actually interesting. You actually kind of like care about the characters finally and realize that there was a time before that where things were actually really neat. So,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Anyway, excuse me, people. And
What?
I'm hearing things. And then I watched Daredevil Born Again, and here's another episode where you had maybe one thing that was interesting, and the rest of it was like, oh, come on, Snorefest, do something. It's a show I really like, a character I really like, and it's just not doing anything.
Well, I'll tell you right now, the only character I like is the Donald Trump character, the
Ugh.
the new mayor. He's the only thing interesting in the show.
Sadly, yeah, I'm waiting for Matt to finally fucking do something.
Well, good luck on that. We're only, halfway through the season.
I know, and so far, oh, dude, you found the bullet. Okay, do something. Anyway,
Oh, I
um,
forgot. I watched the Batman too.
the
I
Batman.
forgot to write that down. I'm gonna have to write that down. The Batman, the Robert Patterson Batman movie that came out a few years ago.
Oh yeah,
Boy,
okay,
that was long and boring.
right.
And you
That's
couldn't
yeah.
and it was like it was so dark. We were watching at home during the day, so we couldn't see
Mhm.
half of what was going on.
Yep.
I mean, maybe in theaters you could, but
Mhm.
oh God, what a nightmare.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
I watched those. I think there's three of those.
No, just one
Just one with Patterson.
so far. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so I know I watched that not long ago, and I thought the same thing. I was just like, ugh, really? Okay, so then I watched Reacher. I think this is episode six. Um, Again, everything about the episode is actually really good, except they are doing a forced romance between him and the lead female officer that he's supposed to be trying to help. And it is so forced, it is almost painful to watch. So, wow, did they go wrong with that? But everything else is great. And then I watched several episodes of the new Amazing Race. Really enjoyed that. It is so gay. There are so many gay people on it this time. I just love it. I just really love it. And of course, then I'm still going through the older episodes of Spring Baking Championship. I finally got up to the Jesse episodes, which I love. And the last season that I just finished was the one where that woman was hosting. Oh, and baby talking like this all the time. Okay, Baker, it's time to tip finger art. Anyway, I just, gosh, I wanted to like her, but she was so annoying. And so that is pretty much what I watched, except I did watch one other thing. And this was an adult. There are versions of it that are adult and include actual sex, and then there's versions of it that are edited out that you can see on YouTube. It's called the Manchineal King. It is Himrose TV, Davy Wavy. He basically did a kind of gay takeoff of White Lotus. I don't know if that's kind of saying the same thing in a way these days, but so it is a version of White Lotus, and it has adult stars who can actually act. They do a really good job. The cinematography is really great. The episodes are only like 15 minutes.
Well, money shot episodes, basically, right?
No, actually, it's mostly storyline, and then there's like maybe 1 minute of actual like sex stuff in it. But if you're watching it on YouTube, the hardcore stuff is edited out, so it's no more than like, queer as folk. So the stories and everything are actually really good. The actors are really good. They do have a father and son who are trying to. The father just cannot accept that the son is gay, but he's
Oh,
trying,
okay.
that type of thing.
So
Uh,
it's not incest.
mm, I'm not gonna give any spoilers about anything that's going on, but then they have like these two Asian actors, and one of them is a guru and a sex surrogate who's trying to like help people, and but he's a selfish little eh. And then they just have a lot of an array of characters that it's actually really good. So if you want to watch a clean version of it, just to see it, go to YouTube, find it, and then if you'd rather watch something else, you have to like go to the pay site and look it up there. All right, let's get into some advice. I'm a 27-year-old female recently, and I recently threw a birthday party at my apartment. It was pretty low-key gathering with about 10 of my friends, lots of snacks, a couple of drinks, and just a fun night of hanging out. Everything was going really well until my friend Sarah, who's 28, showed up with her 7-month-old baby. Now, I love Sarah, and I know she's a mom, but I wasn't expecting her to bring the baby to the party, especially since we had planned to play games and drink and chat. Well, the baby started crying almost immediately when they walked in, and Sarah tried to calm her down, but she was clearly struggling. At first, I thought it was just a momentary thing, but the crying continued for almost an hour, super loud and nonstop. It was hard to hear anything over the noise, and some of the other guests were getting visibly uncomfortable. Well, I eventually pulled Sarah aside and I asked her, could maybe you step outside with the baby or take her into another room or something until she calmed down? Well, I explained that it was just hard to enjoy the party with all that crying, and she just got really upset with me and told me that I should be more understanding since she can't just leave the baby at home, and she was doing her best to keep her calm. Well, she ended up leaving shortly after, and now she's not speaking to me. I feel bad because I know being a mom is hard, but I also feel like, it was my birthday and I wanted to have a good time without crying babies. So, anyway, some people think that I'm rude for asking her to leave, while others think I was just trying to protect the vibe of the party. Anyway, am I the asshole?
Wait, she asked her to leave?
No, she didn't ask her to leave. She just
It
asked her to
says
like
that.
take
It
the
was like
baby into another
some
room
people
first.
think it was rude for asking her to leave.
Well, that's what it says, but I think she meant like go in the other room or something because I don't think she told her to leave.
Yeah, I would have told her to leave.
Well, I
Well,
never sure would have.
I mean, first of all, don't bring your children to my house.
Right.
So,
You don't even allow dogs.
I mean, Well, no, I've got cats, so I don't want a dog that's just going to have carte blanche. I can't believe you do it with all the cats you have on your front porch, and you're inviting a dog in
Well, the
because,
dog's in the house. The cats won't hurt it.
uh, well, I'm not worried about the cats hurting the dog.
No, it's just anyway. But no, I agree. It just why would you no? When your kid if your kid especially have a history of doing this shit, don't bring it to the party.
And I've got the whole party out on a table. So what? We're gonna have a dog that's gonna eat off the table the whole time?
Okay, you're taking that way more seriously than it was.
Well, no, you brought it up after 2 months, 3 months.
It was a joke.
Okay,
We're talking
sure.
about the baby.
Don't bring the baby.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you
No,
can't find a sitter, you don't get to go. That's your joys of motherhood.
yeah, no, if I were being invited to a party, I wouldn't bring anything but me. And that's another thing about even plus ones. You should need to clarify if it's okay to bring a plus one. Sometimes it isn't. So anyway. All right. Let's see. Hey Chubbs, Timothy wants to know, do you think people should dress appropriate to their age?
Um, to a point.
Eh,
But I mean, that doesn't mean you can't, go to a party and dress up, like you're 18. I don't care. That's fine. But I think like have you seen High Potential on Hulu?
mm-mm.
Well, the actress always dresses inappropriately. She's 40 years old and she dresses like a 16-year-old hooker. So um and they always make fun of her for it, and it's not a big, I mean, as long as it's you know you're decent and stuff, clean and
Mm,
not tattered, and I don't have to see your anythings.
mhm.
I'm fine with it, but I think that if you're going to go to work, you should probably dress appropriately.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Uh,
mean, it's the same sense. I don't expect a 19, 20-year old to come dressed like she just went to a party either. So
right. Yeah, I don't think that there needs to be this whole age appropriate thing. I know that that was something that was being very pushed a couple decades ago. I don't know, maybe now that
it's always
Gen
been
X,
pushed that.
I
No.
know, but now
Okay,
that
do you
Gen
want your
X is
mother in
older,
a crop top and a mini skirt?
that would be her choice. I would not want it because it was my mother, but I mean that
But you'd go in public with her looking like that? Okay, yeah, you've made my point. What's the next question? Okay, hey Chubbs,
uh-huh.
what's your favorite store bought microwave entree?
Microwave entree.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me because I don't
Hmm.
I don't microwave that much anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. I used to, but no, not anymore.
Microwave is for heating up, cooking vegetables, steaming
Mhm.
vegetables. I get, my popcorn. My
Okay, that's a
favorite
good one.
store-bought
Yeah.
microwave, the entree, even though it might not be considered an entree, but if you eat the whole bag, it is okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think for me, probably pizza rolls.
No, you do that and they'll burst. You've got to bake them. You got to or air fry them
Well,
because.
actually, I have an air fryer now that I need to start figuring out. So
Oh, and I'll tell you something.
yeah.
The Kroger's pizza rolls are better than the other pizza rolls.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've never had a Kroger pizza roll explode, but you go 3 seconds too long on the regular pizza rolls, and all you have is a sauce and a chunkette of a pepperoni sitting on your pan, and the thing is empty.
Yeah, one of the things I notice is that you go a few seconds too long and that thing turns into a little hockey puck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey Chubbs, Timothy wants to know, do you agree with the policy that school kids should be pulled from extracurricular activities for having bad grades? No, I do not.
I don't agree with it, but if they the point is that if you can't keep up your grades, adding a different element to on top of that isn't going to make it any better.
Oh yeah, but I mean the way that they act, like extracurricular activities are like,
Drama or
right, that they're, that
sports.
it's like, yeah, it's like if a kid has nothing else that they're good at but sports, and you're like, okay, you can't play sports because you got to get your grades up. Your grades fucking suck. You're dyslexic. You're undiagnosed. Whatever. You
Okay,
can't
now you're
fuck
just
that.
finding things. No, kids, kids need, if you're going to be in school, you need to be, the process has to be working for you. And let's take away the dyslexic because I was dyslexic. I'm still
Mhm.
dyslexic.
Yeah.
And I made it through school without being pulled from extracurricular activities because I learned how to take classes that weren't as hard. So I didn't have a problem with them. And of course, I got a terrible education because of it, but that's fine. I got through school, and I had a B minus average, so that's not too bad
No,
for
that's not bad.
somebody who walks into walls. So
Yeah. No, I never did any extracurricular activities, so I didn't give a shit. Mm, and neither did anyone else. But I don't completely agree with it. No.
I mean, I don't agree with it, but I understand the reason for it. Um, and and sometimes kids just need to be incentivized.
Hmm.
If you want to be in drama, you have to keep up your grades. And I'm tired of these kids who are, oh, well, if you want to win that, you want to get into college, you have to pass standards, reading skills, and math and, English, that kind of stuff. And I've seen I was a assistant teacher, and these kids that are failing because they're not being, no one's giving them the time to, and so it's funny how you'll make the time when you, if when you, it's something you really really want, and no one's asking you to get A's, but you need to be able to function in society, and school is unfortunately the only way that it's the middleman between uh, I guess 5 years old and 18 years old, that you've got to make it work for you in some way
So
or another.
you're not for abolishing the education system, the Department of Education,
Um, I've never been against it because
against.
privatizing it just means that they're only going to give you. It's like, oh, the Civil War. That isn't what it wasn't about slavery at all. It was about the
Huh?
finances.
Yeah.
They'll change. I mean, I listen to a radio station, and I tell this all the time, but they were talking about oh God, of course now I say I've talked about it all the time and I can't think of it. The Kent State, remember Kent State? Happened back years ago. I think it was
Okay.
the 60s or 70s. But what happened was it was student revolt, and the police fired on the protesters.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I heard on a radio station, a conservative radio station. It was the news station, so they had a guest, and they were talking about how it was the protesters were the reason why they fired upon them, not because because they were all peaceful. It was like putting the daisy in the gun barrel kind of.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's the kind of and they were shooting the kids for
Yeah.
protesting. And but one I was watching was, well, that's, they were breaking the law. They were doing it, and they assaulted the police officers. The police officers were defending themselves, and I'm like, I almost drove my car into a ditch. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe what I was hearing. But all they have to do is, it's like with Trump. All he has to do is say a few things, and all of a sudden everybody believes that that's the truth. And that's
Hmm.
the problem. That's why they want to privatize the schools, is because they can teach kids whatever they want to teach them.
Right. Like how slavery was just job training.
Right. It's low paid job training, but sure, they learned a lot from that.
All right, well, let's move on to
Yeah.
oh, Timothy, thank you again for those questions. I remember the first play I watched.
Okay, go ahead. What was yours?
Mine actually was at the first one I remember, I was about maybe six or so, and I was at City College. They drove us in for a field trip,
For
and
first graders?
yeah,
Okay.
because our local Sacramento City College has a group called Penny Whistle Players that perform for like young kids. And I actually was in Penny Whistle Players when I was in college and was like their stage manager later on. So it kind of felt like full circle. But the first play that I ever saw was like The Emperor's New Clothes or something similar to that there at City College. So it was kind of cool to come back years later and actually be part of that program.
Well, my first one, and I was either five or six because we were in the Azores, and the women's club or whatever, to get the women
Auxiliary.
something to do during their, boring because they're on a foreign country and they don't speak the language. So they put on a musical every year. So my first play was actually a musical, and it was the Pajama Game. And
Oh.
and my mom was she says, I thought you were going to be so bored, but you really enjoyed that. And I'm like, oh, mom, yeah,
Only knew.
yeah, because that's the Pajama Games was has the song Steam Heat. So I had already
Yeah.
knew that song. So it was like, oh my God. And it tells the whole story. I remember just I think I was sat there with my eyes wide open, which they weren't because I've always had very slanty eyes. But my mouth was open and I was like, oh, I want this. This is so me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember it well.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right. Let's see. Well, let's see what's in our lunchbox. Mr. Moose wrote in and he said, let's start with I've been able to make decent cornbread. Oh, I've never been able to make decent cornbread, but I found a recipe that was really easy. The bread is light and sweet and really tasty.
It
And it
looks buttery. Looks
yeah.
butter. I see butter.
Um, then getting ready for swimsuit season, continuing to eat a lot of fish. Oh, this is fish and garlic sauce because of all the vegetables. It's fairly low in calories and kept me full.
It looks good.
And
Oh,
here's a sandwich. Here's an expensive sandwich. I'm a little annoyed at the price I paid for this sandwich. Hubby wanted to go to a particular restaurant. I agreed to go. I was going to order some fruit to hold me over until I could drop hubby off at home and go somewhere good. The waitress, who I know well, asked why I was just ordering fruit. I was honest and told her I wanted something else and planned to go to another restaurant after hubby ate. She suggested a brand new sandwich that wasn't on the menu yet: turkey, Swiss, and bacon on whole wheat bread with aioli. Um, Side dish was extra, no mention of price. I said I'd try it. I was considering going to a seafood restaurant where I could get a and hush puppies for a side for only $15. Or if I wanted to be cheap, I love the turkey double meat sub at both Subway and Penn Station, which is like $10 to $12 respectively. But I got a sandwich. I could make it home for more money than even the seafood dinner. Hell, I could have eaten two subs for the price I paid. Not a happy camper today. And let me tell you, looking at the sandwich, I understand.
I don't know. I think the sandwich looks good, but I've just been shocked at the price of sandwiches anymore
Yeah.
from sandwich shops. Actually, I found well last week we went over to Cordy Brothers and got a sandwich for $10.
Mm,
I'm okay with $10 for a sandwich. Okay,
right.
not a problem. And so much that we went back yesterday and got a sandwich again. And then we also went out to um, Sprouts. Sprouts, you can get a
Mm,
$5 sandwich,
mm,
and it's actually pretty nice. the graveyard tour, they always get them the sandwiches before the show. So, and they
Yeah.
get them from Sprouts, but they're $5 and you get a nice sandwich out of it. It's good. So, when I hear that the hot pastrami at Togo's is now $18 for the large,
Gee, bud.
and um, Subways are no longer $5 footlongs; they're $10 footlongs. That
Oh
that
my gosh.
that went quick, And then actually, if you look at the other sandwich shops, they've kind of a lot of them have closed up and gone away. You
Yeah.
say Quiznos to somebody who's 18, they're not going to know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Um, well, I mean, even Togo's, which is my favorite place to go, and lately it's just been like, no, no, I'm not paying that, especially since your quality has gone down too. So anyway, so sorry about that, Mr. Moose, but the rest of it looks really good. Actually, the
It,
sandwich doesn't look bad, but I agree. I wouldn't pay what he paid for that.
well, first of all, I don't see mayo on there the aioli on there anywhere. So
Yeah,
they're right
sorry
there.
on
I'm going.
mayo.
It's a little dry, little
Yeah.
dry.
I would ask for two things of mayo so I could dip it. So, all right. Next up, we have from Scott. He sent in, "Hey Chubs, Scott here, and it was such a beautiful day on Sunday. We decided to go take a short drive to Davis to our favorite pizza place, Woodstock Pizza. We got a medium pepperoni. I had a Budweiser Light and a Pepsi. It was delicious lunch, perfect crust. Then went home this evening and it was tea time. So we had some McVitie's digestives with dark chocolate on top. So delicious and a cup of tea, or as we say in Britain, a cuppa. That pizza looks really good.
I know. I'm like, I'm thinking, Sean works in Davis. He could pick one of those up on the way home.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the sandwich. I mean, this pizza. Look at it.
Where's it from?
What's the name of the place again?
Let's see.
Fire something?
Do uh favorite pizza place, Woodstock Pizza.
Woodstock Pizza. Yeah, that's
Woodstock.
That's
Okay.
Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd totally go for one of those. And the McVitie's. That's very cool. Digestives. I love the way that well, I know that it's more of a British slant, but I just love stuff like that.
Oh well, but their digestive stuff is so good. I
Uh,
mean, and they have these wonderful snacks. They've got sweet ones, they've got kind of not so sweet ones.
yeah.
They even I remember we went to a place that was similar to a Costco before Costco got to England, and they had this cart out there that gave little ice creams. They
Oh,
were they weren't big ice creams, they were little ice creams,
yeah.
so they were like $1, but it was not like going to Dairy Queen, but they were just these wonderful, and it was just enough, because usually we what we do is just too much.
Yeah.
Let's go to Dairy Queen after this. I want some soft serve. Okay.
Oh, Dairy Queen.
Yeah. Yum.
Yep.
It-
Okay, so thank you guys, Mr. Moose and Scott. Really appreciate that. That just now I'm hungry. All right, hey, send us what's in your lunchbox at chubsgonewild@gmail.com. You can also find Tom's other podcast at swannerandjudd.com. Find my books and other projects at justkisstheguy.com. Find all of our links at allmylinks.com/chubsgonewild. And give us an email at
ChubsGoneWild@gmail.com. And now remember, if you watch us on YouTube, which we are on YouTube, and you can actually see how I'm actually feeling through the whole thing by the look on my face. You can like and subscribe there. And once again, from my heart, happy birthday, Kathy.
oh, that's so sweet. Only another week of that. No, just
Okay.
kidding. Happy birthday.
Oh no! Oh no!
Miss
No! No!
Bacon.
You've made your statement here. That's fine. Okay, that's it for this week. We'll catch you next time. Love ya.
Bye.
A network of inclusion, univazpods.net.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network.
This has been a For Fuck's Sake production.